Hello and welcome to another episode of the ACC Insider Podcast here on the field of 68. My name is Rob Dosser. I have Jeff Gumner with me, who is apparently at his seventh different house over the course of the last 4 weeks. And we are joined by Wake Forest head coach Steve Forbes, who has one of the hottest teams in the country. Steve, I feel comfortable saying that, seeing as you have not lost in the calendar year 2025. 4-0 in 2025, 5 straight wins. You've now won 7 of your last 8 games. You're sitting here at 14-4 on the season. You're tied for second place in the ACC. What's changed in the last couple of weeks, man? Why are you guys playing so much better?
Well, thanks for having me, guys. I think a couple things. We played 10 games in the first month, and it was a gauntlet. And, we only had 16 practices, and this team really truthfully needed more practice time to kind of figure out the issues that we were having. So finals came at a good time. And then we had, the break over Christmas, and then we had another break even early, and we had a bye week. And so I think the practice time really helped our team. And, the maturation of Ty Johnson, putting him in the starting lineup, playing him, at the point, not only just on offense, but defensively, he's doing a really good job. And then Juke Harris, a freshman, is continuing to evolve as a player, giving us more depth. And I thought getting Omaha Blue back was really going to help us. And then he got hurt Saturday. He'll be out a little bit with a sprained ankle or the ankle injury. And so a lot of those things, I think, Rob, just really helps. We had a very challenging schedule, which we wanted in the first month. We got off to a great start with a great win over Michigan. And then, we didn't play well. We turned it over 18 times, I think, at Xavier. We played really well for a half against Florida and then just faded down the stretch, and I think they're really good. And then I thought the A&M game was there for the taking in the second half. We were just abysmal offensively, but we've been very consistent defensively the entire year. And so I think we've fixed some problems offensively that really has helped us in this stretch.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that, not to cut you off, Jeff, real quick, but on that point.
But you did. But you did.
I
did
did. And it feels, you know what? Sometimes it feels good to cut you off. Sometimes it
Just
feels
keep going.
good to kind of put you in your place, right? Steve, you guys are shooting 28% from 3 on the season. The number was lower than that before you got into league play. You guys are at 36% in conference play. To me, that kind of coincides a little bit with Tyler Johnson getting in there. Maybe you get a little bit more time for Hunter off the ball, maybe more creativity, a little bit more floor spacing. Am I reading between the lines too much here? Do I know ball just a little bit? Like, what is that? What's that impact been?
You're right. I mean, it's that and volume. Not taking just 33s a game, but taking the right ones at the right time. And then you said it. I mean, Ty being able to get in there and spray it out to the right people, and then making those taking and making those shots, and it's also giving Hunter the opportunity. You spend a lot of energy playing the one, and Hunter can play it. It's just not for 40 minutes, and so it's helped him immensely get off the ball and strike from the wing. Now, late in the game, Hunter's had the ball in his hands a lot. I think he scored 11 straight points against Miami down the stretch. I think he did the same thing to Stanford. He was that way against Virginia Tech. That hasn't changed, but Ty has brought a lot of relief to that. Juke can get in there too. And once you could get in there, as you know, you could kick it out and get wide open looks. I just don't think we were getting those, early in the year.
Yeah, I mean, Hunter looks like the last 7 games or so, he's played like we thought he was going to play this year, right? Like an All-American, and just more efficient. Same thing with Cam, right? Those two have been far more efficient, and there's no surprise, again, that's why you guys have gone on this run.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Hunter's numbers are off the charts, the last, what you said, I don't know, 7 games or something like that. I mean, in league play, he's shooting crazy numbers. Like he's shooting 57 from the field, 41 from 3, 90 from the line. I mean, and he's getting all the attention. It's not like he's at the bottom of the scouting report. He's at the top. And the same thing with Cam. Cam's 46, 48 from 3, 83 from the line. Those guys are playing at a really elite level. But, Efton and Trey and Ty and Juke and, Parker, those guys have helped those guys, create those opportunities as well, and so, having Parker out there, and Parker has a shot at Will, but he's a spacer. They're going to guard him because everybody in America thinks he's going to make a shot. That opens up driving lanes. And so, Hunt's playing with a lot of inner confidence, as being the guy. And I thought last year it was a twofold thing for him. I thought that sometimes he disappeared because he wasn't used to being the guy coming from Gonzaga, and he needed to make that evolution or that jump in his game. And I thought at times we did a poor job of finding him last year, where I think this team right now has a lot of confidence in him to get him the ball at the right time in the right place.
Mm-hmm. So your schedule coming up, you guys have figured out how to play well at the right point, because I'd make the argument, I think you have the toughest, probably 3 to 4 week stretch here that anybody in the ACC is going to have. Yeah. North Carolina at home, Duke at home, at Louisville, Pitt at home, right? Maybe the 4, throw Clemson in there, and you're talking about like the 4 other best teams in the ACC, right? Then you got to fly out to California. You're at Stanford, at Cal. You come home to face a Florida State team that is, they're going to switch everything. They're going to junk it up. They're starting to play a little bit better. Then you got to turn around the next Saturday and you got to play at SMU. So that run right there is kind of the make or break run for your season, in my opinion. And it's as tough as you're going to find a schedule in college basketball. How are you preparing for that right now?
Well, it's kind of, it's boring. What I tell you is just, you really have to be fixated on the game in front of you. But that's a hard thing to do for young people because of, social media, and all the hype around.
Because of us, because we keep talking about it, right?
It's okay. I mean, that's your job. I mean, I get it. My job is to try to keep them focused. And this team, to this point, has been singularly focused on the team in front of them. And they have they're really locked in, and they haven't let stuff like that creep ahead. It's, for a coach, sometimes it's hard because you look down there and, like you said, and you go, holy, wow. But then, wow, it's a lot of great opportunity for us, and we did, our schedule is really strong. And, I don't know the difference. I don't look at this too much, but I don't know if you guys explain to me the difference between the KenPom out of conference strength of schedule and the net out of conference strength of schedule, because our net out of conference strength of schedule is like 52 in the country, but then KenPom's something like
209.
Right. Yeah, but our strength of schedule is like 29 or something. I mean, it's really
Have
good.
you called KenPom? Have you called them to ask him about this, Forbes?
Because I'm not smart enough.
I mean, I'll give you his number if you want. We can get a 3-way call. Me, you, and Kenny Pom-Poms. Find out what's going on here.
Pause on the 3-way. So that's what my players would say. I don't. It's just not productive I think, for a coach, especially this early. I got asked this last week, in the ACC press conference about in or out of the tournament. I said, it's insanity for a coach to talk about that right now. Any coach, because you don't know what could happen, And so, for you guys, I get it, but you have to be very careful here about not getting involved in that. And Rob, I really appreciate you saying that, we have one of the toughest schedules in any league. Okay. Not just the ACC, and rightfully so, the SEC is getting a lot of, they had a historical non-conference, and, the Big 12 is solid and the Big 10 solid. We're good, but we're not on, not historically this year on what the SEC did, credit to them, but we all still have hard schedules, and we, I think you're right. I think we got a pretty tough schedule coming, but it's a great opportunity for us.
Hey, Forbes, you mentioned social media early. I want to get your take on TikTok. Like, what's been going on? Are you nervous here? I mean, I know you're a big TikTok guy.
I don't have it.
Maybe you need to get it.
I know my children have told me that. My children are older, obviously, how informative it is, like with history things. I didn't know this. It was just one less thing in my life that I wanted, right? And now I could easily, Twitter's gotten so I don't know.
Out of control.
Like, I don't really enjoy looking at. I do Facebook just for my friends, personal friends around the country and at home to kind of keep up with their families. I never figured out what was that other thing they had. It was not just TikTok. I thought there was something. There was another little app.
Probably a
Instagram.
MySpace. Hey, you probably had MySpace years ago, Forbes.
Now I've always said that the transfer portal is like kind of like Tinder. It's like speed dating, right? Swipe right, swipe left. I don't know. I didn't have that in college, thank God. But no, my kids were home this weekend. My son finally went back to school. Thank God. I mean, I don't know what I'm paying for over there in Tennessee. We started on the 20th. It's like
Those breaks, man. Those breaks are long, aren't they?
Oh my God. I went back right after New Year's, like, go back to school.
Right.
Like, I don't know, man. They were all freaking out. I'm like, life goes on. I don't know anything about TikTok. And so it's just
we need to get Forbes on TikTok dancing.
No. Oh, you want me to do a TikTok? Well, no, you really don't.
No, we really do. We really do, Forbes. We really do.
Christopher
know how you guys are.
Christopher doesn't. Janetta certainly doesn't, right?
You guys will be retweeting that or read whatever you do on TikTok,
Forever.
And I won't be doing. I don't want that. I don't want that.
I did want to ask you about Cam, right? So we kind of talked a little bit about his efficiency going up.
Yeah.
He's averaging 17 during this winning streak that you've had, getting to the line really well. Like, is this just a rising tide lifts all ships? Is it just you guys have kind of put it together? Like you said, you got the practices going. I mean, he's looked like the guy that we thought he was going to be back in November, much more over the course of the last 5 or 6 games.
Rob, this is his third year in a row. He's a double-digit scorer in our league. So it's not like he hasn't done it, right? I thought he was really pressing early in November, trying to make a little bit too much happen and not letting the game come to him. But there's a fine line with him because he's a very aggressive player and he's hard to guard. And so I want him in attack mode, but he can't be in attack mode every possession. Sometimes the ball's got to move, but really high character guy. And look, he's one of the very few players in our league or any league that's been here for 4 years in the same school, which is a credit to him. And I think it's just a matter of him slowing down a little bit, Rob, in the last month and a half and letting the game come to him a little bit more and not forcing the issue. And he's really played well. And the other thing too, guys, he guards the other team's best player. And so that takes energy. That's hard. It's like you say, well, Connor playing a point for 40 minutes. It takes a lot of energy. Guarding the other team's best player takes a lot of energy. And he's physical. We played Virginia Tech Saturday. I mean, they, and this is sometimes the problem with metrics and things. To me, it's like sometimes it's when you play that team too, right? When we were playing them, they'd won 3 of their last 4, which means what? They had confidence. And they're playing at home and they're physical, and so, I mean, Cam, they were screening the living shit out of him, but he was fighting them. So I appreciate you, bringing him up because he's a very valuable player and a little bit undervalued, I think, in the country as far as what kind of player he really is.
Well,
Forbes, your travel.
You see this right here? See this right here? I'm a Tottenham fan.
Oh, there you go.
He's a Chelsea fan, so that's the last time you'll ever hear me say something nice about Cam Hildreth.
That's your game. I just want to go over there sometime. That's when I'm done. That's bucket list. Just we have visited West Ham. Is that right? That stadium. I've been in there like in July, but not when it's full. So I definitely want to do that.
If you go, you got to get your singing voice going.
All right, I get it. I can do that. All right. What do you got coming?
Your schedule, Forbes, your schedule has actually been pretty good early on in ACC play. Like, they didn't crush you. They did a nice job, but it starts to get tough. Not only, again, Carolina and Duke coming up at home, but then at Louisville, home Pitt, and then you make the Bay Area trip, Stanford, at Cal, come back, play Florida State at home, then go to SMU. It's crazy now, obviously, with realignment and everything. It's crazy for a lot of different programs. How do you handle this? Because you guys aren't chartering everywhere. You're taking some commercial flights, and it's a little bit daunting. We heard Mick Cronin talk about it the other day, and it is harder for a program like UCLA that's got to make several trips out east. I mean, that's not easy.
Well, look, credit to Kyle coming out here. This second time out here, and he clipped Carolina. Yeah, I think every school has their own issues, right? Their own things. And one of the things, I've always been a team player when it comes to being in an athletic department. And we're going to fly commercial because we're going to save $150,000. That's a lot of money. And you can't fly out and fly back without refueling anyway, And so the decision has to be, do you fly back to Red Eye or do you fly back the next day? And, the data says, and you and I, all of us here have flown the Red Eye, okay, many times, and it wipes you out.
It sucks.
Terrible. And so, the game at Stanford's or at Cal is in an afternoon or early afternoon game, and we'd have to wait till all the way to midnight just to get on the plane to get up out of there. So we're going to take the next day and come back. But the NCAA rule is that a travel day is not an off day. And so you can't travel back Sunday and then practice Monday, Tuesday. You still got to take a day off. And so what we're going to do is fly back Sunday. This is our first go around. We'll get back. We'll let them go back and get their stuff put away. And it'll be probably 5 or 6 o'clock. And then we'll come back and do like we usually do on a 2-day turn is we'll walk through and then we'll feed them. And then maybe hopefully they'll stay on their same sleeping pattern, not just sleep all day. And then we'll have to take Monday off. And then Tuesday we'll come back and prepare for Florida State. I don't know any other way really to do it. If you chartered, you're still getting back crazy late, crazy early in the morning. They're going to sleep all day. I don't know if that's good either. We're just going to have to learn. Yep. But it is
what works.
It's harder for them, I think, coming back than it is going out. And so we'll see what happens. And I understood what Mick was saying. It's tough. And look, coaches, we weren't involved in these decisions. Now, come on, that's not like they came and asked us. And so we're the ones having to deal with it. And I love college football, but this is my biggest issue with football is that they've turned our leagues upside down, and the travel doesn't affect them ever. I mean,
it's once a week. I mean,
they don't even miss class. Games. I mean, right. You think about this. We're going out on Monday after practice. Okay, we don't have online courses here. We don't have any.
Really? Okay, you don't have any? None.
No.
Wow.
0. And so these guys are in real classes or hard ones, missing a lot of class. I know Stanford's going through the same thing because I talked to them about it. And they're on the quarter system. And so academically, it's a challenge. It's a challenge for us.
Yeah, and, Stanford's got it the worst, man. They come to the East Coast 4 times. Right. They're there for a week each time. And they also have to go play at SMU. It's insane. And then you also got to go play in the ACC tournament in Charlotte in March. Like they're gone for
and their
like
classes.
5 weeks.
And their classes are ridiculous.
And it's Stanford.
Like Kyle and I were talking about, Jim Shaw, who I've known forever. We're in the same boat. I mean, we're not in their boat because of travel, but we're in their boat because of academics. Mm-hmm. And so it's like it's a challenge for them, and not only for us for 1 week, but look at us. We travel to Syracuse, Miami. We still got to go. We go to SMU too, and we go to Cal and Stanford. And so it's not the same as and the SMU trip's not hard, but for us. But I feel for those guys. And if you look at the other leagues too, right? I was watching a game the other night, a Big 12 game at 11:30 here, and it was Central Florida was over at Arizona State. I'm like, holy.
I know. No, it's just crazy. It's crazy. Hey, while we're on the subject of academics, how far off are you, or were you from getting into Wake Forest coming out of high school?
Well, I graduated 3rd in my class.
But what was the class? Like 8 people? I mean, come on.
30. Or 32. So I was barely in the top 10%.
All right. Don't tell anybody that. Hey, don't tell anybody it's only 32 people.
I tell people that all the time. Here's the problem. I decided to go to junior college for a couple years because it was $414 a semester. Okay. And I got a full scholarship. And so and I was first to go to college in my family. No, I don't think going to junior college that was going to translate here. It just they
You
don't
don't think so?
no. Now I have said this facetiously before, like, look, man, we can't recruit JUCOs, but you hired me. And my whole point was I really believe this though. I really believe I would have thrived here academically. I would have done well, but I probably wouldn't have got in, and
Probably.
probably not. Probably not.
Exactly.
Hey, we have we I think we admit 1,500 students a year, and we have 17,000 apps or 18,000. Okay, so it's pretty competitive.
Hey,
And
Forbes, we
yeah.
were joking the other day, and we'll let you go after this, but there's probably going to be a rule coming in soon that every player is going to get a 5th year of eligibility. Okay.
Mhm.
I saw that there's a kid at Southern Miss, I think, that's going to sue the NCAA, and people think that there might be unlimited eligibility. There might be. So my take to you is you should be calling Chris Paul right now, and telling him, hey, listen, come back for another year. When you retire from the NBA, come. I don't know if Chris got his degree, though, didn't he? Got his degree.
He did.
So there's no real reason for him to come back. But like,
Get a
what
master.
Ish Smith? Go get Ish Smith to come back for another year.
He graduated.
All right.
Do
a grad year. Do a grad year. Get another degree.
John Collins, we could maybe,
Right.
he's still got some.
I mean, are we going that way potentially, Forbes? Is this insane for me to say this?
I hope this. I hope we go to 5 years. And in that 5 years, there's no waivers and there's no medical.
Right.
If you get hurt, that's what the 5 years, the 5th year is for. I think that would really help. I think for junior college kids that, okay, you want to go play JUCO for a year, you can, but you still got 4 if you transfer after 1. If you go JUCO for 2, you still get 3 if you transfer after 2. I think that really helps kids graduate too. And I think with all the transferring amongst ourselves, again, it helps kids graduate because the hidden secret with all these transfers is there's a lot of credits being lost. Okay. And I don't think people talk about that enough. And so I'm hopeful that it's just 5 with no waivers, no lawsuits, and I'm sure the NCAA wants to they don't want to be sued every time they turn around when it comes to eligibility. And so, I like that. If that, and obviously I'm on the oversight committee, but that's not something that we actually discussed in this last meeting, but I know it's out there above us. And so I think it's good. And I think it's really, and being a junior college product as a player and as a coach, I think it's really good for those kids to get an extra year in there.
Yeah. All right, let's end it with this. Forbes, how's your wife doing?
She's doing great. If you go from a year ago today, it's amazing. A couple months ago, I was telling Jeff, she wanted to go swimming. And I said, well, I can't take you today. She said, no, I'm driving. I'm like, oh, okay. And so I my 16-year-old daughter, first time she drove, I kind of peeked around the corner when she went out and she drove, and she's driving. It's hard when your kids are older and we have empty nest. She was by herself a ton, just not being able to go anywhere but use Uber. And so, she's really doing great. She's trying to walk without a cane. She can, but she's trying harder. She does therapy, every day. And so it's amazing to think about a year ago today where we're at, because if we were playing, I had to get somebody to be at the house, to be with her. And so she can do all those things by herself. And so she's tough. She has to be. She married me.
Got to balance it out.
Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, right? And it also shows my recruiting skills. But so I appreciate you asking. She's doing great, and looking forward to coming to all the games. That's been good for her too.
Yeah, well, that's great to hear, man. Happy for you. Happy for this run that you guys have been on, and hoping you can keep it going, man. You got a big month coming up. So get off of this call and go start preparing for North Carolina tomorrow.
Well, we already won at 10 o'clock and we're going to go again at 3 here, and that's another thing. And that's
JUCO Forbes. JUCO Forbes is back.
Right. Well, that's another hidden thing when you're not in school. Being able to go 2 times all through the break was huge. Yep. And I'm going to end with this. This is another disadvantage for an academic school versus a school that, and I'm not saying they're not academic, they could take all online courses. There's a lot of institutions out there, fellas, where their players have just never been to class. They just go all online. So they could practice anytime, how many times they want a day. Like we're practicing at 3:30. Okay, we're going to class and then we're going to go to study hall or whatever and then weights and practice. So we got to take advantage of that window from the last day of class till the first day of class. And that really, really helped us. And I don't think a lot of people understand the advantage I think some schools have practice-wise when you are never in class, you're just taking online, you can really do it like you're a pro the entire year.
Mm-hmm. All right. Listen, man, great to see you. Glad you guys are doing well, and go win some more games so we can get you back on this podcast later on in the season.
I look forward to it. Now, if that's the case, I'm bringing the heat to Goodman if I come back. So.
Thanks, Forbes.